All right, hello everyone. It is August 11th and this is the CHAOSS weekly meeting. Welcome, welcome. I posted the minutes in chat, so if you did not see those, let me know or let somebody know and we can post it in there again. We have a pretty light agenda. There isn't much on there today, but if you can make sure to add your name to the attendees list, that would be awesome. And I will do that myself. All right. So the first item on the agenda is something I've been super excited. I can't wait to see this. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. Tola is going to give us a demo on some of the localization stuff that he's been working on. So Tola, I'm going to let you take over and share your screen and do whatever you need to do.
Kevin, can you make Tola co-host?
Okay, so just can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Good day all. The outreach intent for CHAOSS. So my project is about localization and internationalization for CHAOSS DNI badging. So the purpose of this project is to make the process for obtaining badges multilingual. So attached is the link to my project report. Then so far I did experimented 4 localization platforms to choose the best for translation. The first one was Crowding, second one was WebBlitz, third one was Localize, and the fourth one was Git Localize. So I'm just going to kind of give a summary of the 4 platforms so far. The first one for crowding, we started working with crowding, but for crowding, there were some requirements or criteria to make for open source projects. Each is implementing with crowding is actually free for open source project, but some of the criteria couldn't be met. And another reason why we couldn't work with crowding is because of the pricing. For a start, the pricing for crowding was kind of very, very high. So we had to switch to WebBlitz. Yeah, so for WebBlitz, WebBlitz can actually be hosted locally on your computer using Docker. We did all of that. The major reason why we couldn't implement with WebBlitz is because of WebBlitz is kind of difficult to use. The interface is kind of for a starter, you need to go through the documentation and all of that. And also the WebBlitz documentation wasn't easy to follow. We had to check other external resources like Medium, Google about integration and the rest. Also for WebBlitz, the translation content is not, it doesn't integrate with version control. The the JSON format for key and value were not easily, like the path for the value were not easily specified. So we had to move to localize. The 2 important factors that made us choose the best platform was pricing and version control integration. So we went for localize and Git localize. The third one, localize, the pricing is very, very moderate. It starts around $5 for for the translation content. And one advantage of Lucas was that it's the pricing for translation. It's not per word. They kind of grouped it per group of words, so it's cheaper for us. Then Git localize is actually free for open source projects and it's easily integrated with GitHub and version control. Yeah, so the two platforms we went for finally was localize and Git localize. These are the factors that made us choose these two platforms, and they were actually very, very friendly. The user interface is very, very friendly. For a starter, you could easily follow through documentation. Actually, the documentation of all these platforms is attached to my report. So the how we integrated a lot of features, we worked with the API, the command line tools, and everything. So this is my slides, my report. The Google Drive link, it's I did a screen record of the GIS localized platform. So I'm going to attach it to the Google Docs too. And yeah, so yeah, this is the end of my presentation. I just want to say a big thank you to Martinel and Sarah for their mentorship and support. So I'm just going to do a quick demo using Git localize. Can you see my screen?
No, I'm looking out right now.
There you go. It's working.
Yes. So go to gitlocalize.com, then get started with GitHub. So I'll be translating the community handbook to specified language. So in the governance repo, I created a new branch called translation. So I'm just going to Spanish. And it's translate. Yeah, so that is translated the README for the governance repo from English to Spanish. So I'm just going to create a review request here. Leave any and sending the pull requests. Then, so the pull request is here. So I'm just going to merge tests. Then could go back to branch I created to see changes. So it creates a new folder for the translation. So you could see all the translated contents here. So yeah, these are all the files I've translated to Spanish. So we could also do that for other languages, German, any language you specify. Yeah, so thank you all for Yeah, I think I'm done. I don't know
Good.
if anybody has any questions.
Well, thanks, Tola. Thanks for showing this, and thanks for kind of leading this effort, because I think translation is something that I'd like to see advanced in the CHAOSS project. I guess one of the things, I guess, do people have questions on the process and kind of what this is about for Tola?
I have a quick question. This is awesome, by the way. Oh my gosh, how cool is this? My question is, do we uh, need to review the translations before we commit them, or is it pretty well established that the
Yes,
translation is pretty
um,
accurate?
yes, there are moderators that could review the translation on the uh, Git localized platform. You could attach moderators to it, but so I could just search for the moderators here and select a role. Then it's the person to moderate the translation has to have its GitHub account integrated on Git localized.
Perfect, thank you.
So it looks like it could be moderated here in Get Localize or in the pull request once it's like over, like heading into the CHAOSS repo. One of my things, Tola, when you had showed me this last week, was like, how have you thought about how we would display this in the CHAOSS repos? Um, is it in a translation folder? Is that how we do it? Is it like, I don't know that I've ever seen a repo that's translated, and how that can be kind of effectively displayed for people. Has anybody seen this?
Okay, I actually created a branch for it for translation. I could also move the translation content from here to the to the main community handbook. So it's just like going to be a like a folder here, translated files, or is there any way you want this to be done?
So one option is to have a branch. It would say like Spanish translation, Chinese translation, French translation. Is that right?
Yes, not really. We could have all the translation in one branch. Then I could just um, move them to the community handbook, like to the folder of the community handbook. So when anyone enters here, inside here, I could then create each folder for each translation: Chinese, Spanish, French, and any other language. Or
I see. That makes sense. Thanks. So so what you're showing here, so there's the community handbook, and then there's the ES/community handbook.
yes,
What's
yeah.
the difference
Yeah.
between these two?
The ES community handbook is the translated folder. Like after we create the pull request from Git localized, so it automatically generates the folder called ES for translation. The folder can also be renamed. It's just like the version control because of version control integration. So it generates the folder for all the translation that has been
Gotcha.
done.
Gotcha. Okay. And then does get localized, does it allow you to do batch files, or do you just have to do file by file? Can you do a folder?
Um, no, you can't do a folder. You have to do select each file to get translated.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thanks,
Okay.
Tola.
You're welcome, Matt. I don't know if anyone has any question.
So I said this a long time ago. We actually do have funds for translating. So, I mean, if we want to go down this route, this might be something we want to take a look at, to really think about how to document this process and then actually get it done. I think there'll be quite a bit of time to actually get it done across all the repositories. I guess the other challenges is that we might want to think about what we update, because obviously we're not translating everything. Like we're not translating everything from Augur, because every time there's a change, I don't know. We'd have to think about things that are somewhat stable for translation, just so we can track what we're translating and what we're not. So like the community handbook would probably be a good candidate, but we might want to think about specifying some world of things that need translated.
Yeah, and I do know that Get Localized does offer professional translation. I think it's by repo. That they can work with us on that kind of thing too.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you all. So if you have any comments or contributions, you could add them to my project report. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Tola.
Uh,
Thank you, Tola. That was amazing. I'm really excited about that. And just to clarify, we decided not to go with. We're definitely going with Get Localized. That's the one that kind of rose to the top, for sure.
yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So to Matt's point, what do we want to do for next steps on this? Is there anything that we want to take action on right now, or how do we want to proceed with this?
I can reiterate my point.
I mean, is this something that needs like its own little task force to figure out? Is this something that we want to do on these calls?
Probably yes and yes. So I think this call time would be good, and it might be worth having a few people that want to try to plot some of the things that need to be or that would be candidates for translation, and then how we would go about tracking what has been translated, and like a cadence for how often we do translations. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep. Okay. Okay, so let's put I'm just going to suggest we put an item on this agenda and have people add their names. Do you think we need like a separate call about it, or just in this call is okay? We just want a recurring in this call?
Just in this call is totally fine.
Okay, we can just add it then as an agenda item to touch base and talk about it every so often and make some progress. Does that work? Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next thing. If nobody has any other questions for Tola, We'll go on to Venu. Is Venu here? Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. Am I audible?
Venu, I'm having a hard time
Am
hearing
I
you.
audible?
Is Venu?
Your audio is pretty bad, Venu.
Okay.
It's breaking up.
I know.
No, I don't know what's going on. Your microphone is not like you today, my friend.
Okay, we might have to move ahead. And Venu, if you get better audio, hop back in.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, I think.
Yeah. Okay, let's move along to the D&I badging.
Hi. It seems that badging is dominating the meeting today, but I'm okay with that personally. So I just wanted to mention, like we have been, actually the pilot testing is coming up next week, the second and final before we get ready to launch the project. So I just wanted to, I actually asked his email as the one to this time for contact, and we'll be sending out a reminder to anybody that was interested in the second pilot testing on Friday. We're looking forward to having that in place. Is there anything specific that anyone wants to mention or explain for that pilot testing or request for the email?
I'm kind of curious as to what you're changing from the first pilot test.
Yes, we've got some things that are kind of concretely changing. So one of the first items is that the system of pull requests that we were using to update, a lot of that has been a lot more automated, and that required switching over to issues. So now the projects and events, or just events for now, are set to issues, and we are just doing events for now because we want to focus on making sure that virtual events can be included, and that is a positive experience to submit with. We've got a form that we've created that is now through the CHAOSS website that we can submit with, which means you don't have to add a line item in the table on Markdown to submit a project or an event. And I think those are the main parts. There's been some changes to how the review system works. It's on more of a quantitative basis rather than qualitative, and it's based on a percentage of how many checks you've met. Those are the real big changes. There's little things here and there everywhere, but we've been making a lot of improvements, I think.
Are you going to run this new upcoming pilot through the website, or are you going to do that outside of the website?
The submissions are going to happen through the website. So the way the submissions work now is instead of going and creating the issue with the template, you go onto the website and you fill out a form, just like an HTML form, and then it will create an issue that's all filled out for you on GitHub, and you just have to click the create issue button, and it creates everything pretty much as without the need to go into Markdown and dive in and work on it that way.
Do you have a group meeting that's going to occur before the pilot is rolled out?
Yes, 8 to 10 CDT on Thursday. It's my office hours, but I'm really glad to invite anybody that wants to be part of that as well.
If you want to invite me, I can give you a help coordinating
Sure.
on the website end.
And I've created a pull request with all the updates, making the code cleaner and all that stuff, and adding the descriptions and everything. Okay, I've sent you an invite. Thank you, Kevin. And if there's no, yeah, I didn't suspect there would be a lot of questions, though there was. If there are any more questions, I'll drop my email here too, so that we're not taking up too much time. But That's it for now.
Matt S., I have a quick
Yeah.
question. If
Yeah.
someone did not participate the first round, can new people participate next week?
Yeah, that's actually it's ideal to have some new people that haven't seen the workflow at all yet. So we're also looking for people who know people who might want to be part of it as well.
Is it okay if I add this to the CHAOSS Weekly newsletter?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I will do that. All right, any other questions for Matt? Okay, I guess not. Feel free to email Matt if you do think of something after we hang up. So let's move on. We are rolling through these. Amazing. Community reports. I'm guessing that Matt G put that on there.
Yeah, that was me. So I am looking at Sean and Georg. Hello. So we need to decide what the visuals are that are going to be on the community report. So because this is slowly rolling forward, and we had talked about having 4 visuals, a couple from the Grimoire Lab Cauldron side of things, and a couple from Augur side of things, and I think we're coming to closure with our discussions at the Linux Foundation, just in terms of the process by requesting the report.
Yeah.
And I think that's all just about settled, to be honest with you. And so,
Yeah.
And we have latitude as to what those things might be. So it seems like it's been a while, or this call has been out for a while, to figure out what those 4 things might be. I think we just need to do it at some point.
I mean, so I don't know if Georg has from an Augur perspective, we've got some visualizations related to new contributors and pull requests that are well developed and ready to go for this purpose. So I suppose if we could pick areas, I'd pick areas where we already have stuff that is working at scale.
Yep.
But if that, but I don't know what Grimoire Lab would want to include. Do you have a sense, Georg?
We can decide this together.
Okay. Does that mean you and I set up a time to chat, Georg, or?
If we have 5 minutes right now, we can decide it right now, because my approach would be, can I have sharing?
Well, I can't give it to you, but Matt can.
I'm not logged in with my Uno account because I just came out of the Brandeis class. We started the 2nd week. Thank you.
You got it.
So this is the Cauldron dashboard right now. And if we can pick out a visualization that Cauldron already implements, then we can just say, that's it, and we're done with this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was proposing as well. I think that does Cauldron do the dashboard of corporate contribution levels? It's a pie chart in Grimoire Lab. Does it have that?
No, because that is a challenge of getting the data of everyone is affiliated, and that's a lot of work to.
I know your pain. Say no more. There's no magic.
I wish there was.
Yeah, I do too.
Since you want users and
new contributors, basically,
I think we should have commits, because that's a #1 metric everyone wants.
I think
Here's, if we look at commit activity, their diagram. But I think commits over time is something that would be expected from a community report.
Yeah, I think so.
Does Cauldron provide any visualizations that are combinations of metrics. And so for example, when Sean's talking about PRs or new contributors, they're more of an aggregate look at a couple of different metrics brought together. I think you probably know what I'm talking about. And like commits is just a single thing. And maybe that's a totally good look, but I was wondering if there was something that you would want to bring forward that's more of a composite. And if commits is what should be displayed, then this is more of a question, not on guiding you anywhere. So
yeah, no, I fully agree. So right now, what I'm showing you is everything that Cauldron does on its front dashboard. So there is the more detail where you can go to Kibana and you can have your custom visualizations. But I would recommend taking one of the ones that are right here on the front. And no, they are all very basic elementary visualizations right now. But I talked with Jesus and Manrique, and they are open to adding any new visualizations that we decide on. So if we get feedback that, hey, commits over time is great, but can we tweak it? Then the Cauldron team is open to adding or changing that visualization.
Okay.
And then we can start using it.
Yeah, and we do have the latitude because we pick what goes on the community report, because it's really just the do you want to know more kind of thing. And so if that's okay, cool.
Yeah. So I think commits over time is one that people expect to see. And then if we look at, you already have new authors. So maybe we do want something around issues, around issue. And we have these 4 visualizations available.
Is there one here that you know from your experience that people are drawn to?
Looking at these, I would just recommend the issues open closed, because that is easy to communicate what that means. There are a number of issues that were opened and closed on those days or in that time frame. I think the issues opened by weekday or closed by weekday are interesting, but I think by themselves are not as interesting as over time, how has it evolved?
Okay, so you're talking about the one in the upper left corner.
Yes.
Okay. So then
that's
just
what I would recommend, but we can change that.
Yeah, everything can change. Just so then what I would have from Cauldron would be commits over time, issues opened and closed over time. And then from the Augur side, it's your composite visualizations around PRs, Sean, and your composite visualizations around new contributors. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have I'll pick through some and socialize them with people to see which ones are the best.
Could totally sounds cool. Could Georg and Sean, do you have the captioning that would go underneath those? Because we had talked about providing kind of rich descriptions of what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's something obviously that can just be repeated for everyone. It's just it's not a description for that community in particular. It's just
I think for like some of the metrics Georg was talking about, if there aren't captions in Cauldron, we can take the Cauldron image and just include a standard caption for what those metrics are, like commits, in the report, and that can actually be derived from the CHAOSS metric definition for commits, since it's one metric.
Yeah.
Okay, so would it be okay, Georg and Sean, if we did a practice on a community report?
Well, yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Are you, Georg?
Let's
are
fly
you
this plane for the first time with 500 people on it.
I'm just trying to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. So Georg, will you be the person receiving the emails on the Grimoire Lab side or the Cauldron side for a request for a report?
We haven't talked about the process. Maybe when we do our practice, we can talk about the whole process of how the data comes into CHAOSS and then where it goes, and we can think about the whole thing.
Okay. Could we just decide now, is there a repo like a project that would be a good candidate for just doing this first practice run for these 4 visuals? Sean, do you have any that you love? Or Georg, do you have any that you love?
Repositories?
Yeah, that we would just use for this first practice run.
I have a set of 12 repos that I use for like testing and stuff, but I mean, it could really be anything. I think the older, I mean, it's just, I don't know, 12, it depends on how many, do we want to do a demo for one repo for just one repo?
Yeah, for now, just.
I think, I mean, we probably want to pick something that's not super, like that's not an outlier, that's kind of like an average open source project. So like Kubernetes is significantly more active and already has a good dashboard of its own.
How about we take one of our own projects that we intimately understand? We can look at the Augur repository since you have everything in one repository.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Yeah.
All right. Well, then we don't even have to type the name of the repo.
Yeah.
We all know it.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah. I've heard of that one.
Okay, cool. So then maybe it's really just running these 4 things across the Augur repo, getting the visualizations and starting with any of the captioning that would go along with it. And I'll connect with you 2 guys just to kind of give you that template again that we had kind of roughed out. You know what I'm talking about? The community report template that we have.
Yep.
And we can work from that. Okay.
You're like going from my left ear to my right ear now. It's really weird.
All right, cool. Thank you. That's it. I'm done. That was good. That was awesome. Thank you.
Results.
Yay.
We are all about productivity. I love it. All right, moving along, because we only have 9 minutes left. I put this on the agenda, the metrics release announcement, just to let everyone know that we did actually announce them this morning. So if you are curious, it's on our blog, I believe. Kevin merged that in as this meeting began, so it's super fresh and shiny and new. And we'll be putting it in the mailing list as well and on Twitter, and we'll send it out to other things so y'all can retweet and spread the word as necessary. There is a really nice PDF copy of the release. If you have not seen that, it's really well done. And I think Kevin was responsible for that. So thank you, Kevin. It's really great.
Mostly Georg on the PDF copy.
Georg, sorry. Awesome job, Georg. It's really, really good. I love it. Sorry, that's my dog choking in the background. She's okay. She's fine, I'm sure. Nothing to see here. It's great. And also I see a note here. It says contributor list is becoming large. If you are left off the list, we apologize. Let us know and we'll add you. So we would let Kevin know that. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Fantastic. Anybody, if anybody has any questions about that? Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Just a comment. Huge thank you just to everybody in all the working groups. I think there were, how many metrics were released this time? 16?
Eight, I think. Yeah.
8 with.
And then we revised a few and.
And value got revised. So, And just it's a huge amount of work. So just thanks for everybody. Thanks to everybody. And thanks for everybody too.
And then the next item real quick, Ruth just brought up over here in the chat a potential idea about measuring burnout from contributors, which I think is super interesting. I'm sure others do as well. And Ruth is also new to the meeting, so hi, welcome. We're glad
Hi,
you're
Ruth.
here. We were wondering what you all think about which working group that would fit in, because I originally thought maybe common, since that's where we kind of measure contributor activity in general, but it also might speak to the culture and inclusivity of a project, you know, how balanced it is, and if people are aware of this, you know, burnout problem in D&I. So I'd really like to hear everybody's thoughts on that, of where we should send Ruth to pursue this a little bit more.
I seem to recall, I'm looking at you, Georg, for a second. Have we talked about burnout like a while ago? Does that ring a bell at all?
I know burnout has been a conversation in general. I don't think we have tried to have a metric around it.
Okay.
But I do think diversity and inclusion is a good place for having a conversation about contributor burnout and how we can measure that, because we're talking about leadership there. And so we already have related relevant metrics in D&I.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
I was just trying to find the next D&I meeting. I think it's this week.
Wednesday.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. U.S. Central.
Yes, thank you. My tab was gone. So Ruth, 10 a.m. tomorrow is the diversity and inclusion meeting. If you're able to attend that, that would be amazing. If not, you can, as Armstrong suggested, write up a proposal and submit it. Okay, perfect. If I was going to say, if you have questions about how to do that, just let me know. You can just email me or hit me up sometime. All right, 4 minutes, and we made it all the way through the agenda. What else do we have? Anything, any other ties to wrap up before we go?
That's it.
Awesome.
Not
Thanks,
for me.
everyone. Yes, 4 minutes, you get back. Aren't you happy? I will see everyone later. Have a great week.
See you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Hi, everybody.